operation from the Pentagon. Then it's here, then it's there, then it's on, then it's gone.
What is going on, guys? It's Adam and Marv. Today's show is going to be packed. We have a ton to go over. The entire weekend, absolutely insane things happened. So we're going to go over all of that and more right when we get back. This is a live show.
Then it's gone. Top secret operation from the Pentagon. Then it's here, then it's there, then it's on, then it's gone.
Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. With that out of the way, my name is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. So just a couple points for anybody that is new here. You can actually follow us on our website, marfooglenews.com, and you can go and follow any of the sources that we have here today. So if we do show you something, whether it be a video, a tweet, an article, or anything, that will be on our website. Now, it's very easy to navigate. Just look for today's thumbnail, Secret Internet Operation. Of course, talking about the day that T-Man went out of office, they transferred like 6% of all of the internet to a secret operation in Florida that they said was above like some sort of little office. Very, 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 very sketch. When you click on this, of course, you will get all of the sources for today's show. So again, all of this stuff, we're not just, making this up as we go. We have sources for it. And then again, if you do want to support us in any way, we are completely independent. We do not have any multi-channel network or multi-billion-dollar company. On the right side of the page, you can go to any of our affiliates. My Patriot Supply is doing upwards of $200 off for a 3-month supply if you do want to prepare, again, over there. And then EMP Shield, Nord, and PayPal's are all over there. Down at the bottom, we have web-only content with a ton of stuff that's basically too hot for TV. So let me see. Let me make sure that... Okay, this might be a little shaky here. Okay, there we go. Not an earthquake, but a camera fix. Here, let me see. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Now, we have had several issues actually going live, so very just happy to be live, period. Let's introduce my co-host and internet brother, Dex. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we have had so many different things happen over the weekend. I guess we should just get right into it. Of course, we have top-earning New Yorkers could face a 61% combined tax rate under House Plan. Californians may face 59%. This is actually huge. Some people are cheering this on, of course, but this is like just absurd. I mean, 61% and 59% taxed. So over half of what somebody would make would be going back into the government, and somehow we are still in debt. Dex, what do you think? Now, what do you have to be to is this like the richest people, like the billionaires, or is this above?
Yeah, usually when you're at that high bracket, you're paying the max tax, which doesn't have to be that high. I mean, it is a lot to folks like you and I, when you're making 200,000, 300,000, that's a lot of money, right? But ultimately, when you think about it, it's not just that. It's this entire tax plan that's being proposed. And like one of the things I noticed in it was the business tax, or the small business tax, which affects a lot of people. And raising that, one of the interesting stats I saw was what they were proposing. If they raised it to the amount, which I can't remember what it was like 30% or 30 something percent, 32%. It's higher than the tax in Europe. It's higher than the tax in China. And in other countries. So you could actually have a business in China or in Europe and pay less tax than in America.
So basically these people that are making, 300,000 or whatever else are going to be taxed basically 60%. So, or around there in some way. That would be like $160,000 out of their money. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, just simply think about it. Every time you earn $1, you're only keeping less than 40 cents, right? And that's because these states have a high state tax, but in addition to these higher federal taxes they're putting in, when you combine that, if you're living in New York or California, that's pretty bad, And by the way, to live in New York and California, you have to make high dollars to pay those, exorbitant fees for rent and everything else that goes on in California and New York. So it's not uncommon for people to try to make, significant amount of money or make more than they would make somewhere else if you're living in New York, just because the cost of living is so high.
Well, that's insane, especially for somebody who doesn't have a specialist career. Or what if you're, every bracket has gone up. And if you're in New York, of course, that's going to make it even harder. Pretty crazy. I don't know. This is like robbery. And then phony diagnosis, high rates of drugging at nursing homes. What? It says the handwritten doctor's order was just 8 words long, but it solved a problem for Dundee Manor, a nursing home in rural South Carolina struggling to handle a new resident with severe dementia. David Blakeney, 63, was restless and agitated, and the home's doctor wanted him on antipsychotic medication called Haldol, a powerful sedative. And it says, quote, add a description or prescription of schizophrenia, add DX of schizophrenia for use of Haldol, read the doctor's order, using the medical shorthand for diagnosis. It says, but there was no evidence that Mr. Blakeney had actually had schizophrenia. It says antipsychotic drugs, which for decades have faced criticism as chemical straitjackets, are dangerous for older people with dementia, nearly doubling their chance of death from heart problems, infections, falls, and other ailments. So basically, he may have been forgetting things, but they basically added on schizophrenia to basically put him, out and possibly rip the guy off. It says the risks to patients treated with antipsychotics are so high that nursing homes must report to the government how many of their residents are on these potent medications. But there is an important caveat. The government doesn't publicly divulge the use of antipsychotics given to residents with schizophrenia or 2 other conditions. So there's the 3 ones that these nursing homes could essentially, they could say you have it. So say your mother is in the hospital, all of a sudden you go in, she's acting strange and she's acting like she's drugged up. And they said, well, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia on top of her dementia or whatever else it was. And then all of a sudden she starts making, or she gets all of her decisions taken from her or, her personal belongings or something like that. This has happened before. There are tons and tons of nursing homes that have super, super corrupt practices. So anybody that's had family that has gone into these places, this is one of the scariest things ever. This is one of, most people's fears if they're getting older to go into a home or to a nursing facility is to be treated like this or, basically put into kind of a old people jail, right? This is scary. This is like, these people should get prison time if they do it on purpose. It says with go ahead.
I was going to say, Adam, this is not just one story. This is one story that it sort of gives you the picture of it. But they did analysis, and the percentage of schizophrenia diagnoses have soared 70% since 2012. So they're basically using this as a crutch to say, I can't handle all of these patients, or we can't necessarily handle these patients when they're in this state. So we're just going to sedate them because we don't have the staff to deal with it, right?
Oh my gosh. And can you imagine, since the shortage of whatever now, because people don't want to go back to work, imagine what they're doing now. It's like, if somebody has a bad knee, psychotics, antipsychotics, that's the solution. That is incredible. So be careful when you're putting your parents in. I know that a lot of you are probably in that bracket where your parents are now getting into that into that age. You really have to look these places up. You have to visit them multiple times. You have to talk to actual people that have their family there. You have to talk to the people that are actually there if you can, which now is probably a lot harder with CV. It's probably almost impossible to get into the place. And some of them that you can't even get in unless you have taken the N, you know what I'm saying? You get it. And then a secretive Pentagon program we're going to talk about here in just a minute. In fact, we're going to get to it. It basically started on T-Man's last day and it just ended. right around, September 11th and all that. It's kind of weird. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But first, I wanted to show you, this new company says it's bringing back the woolly mammoth as a way to fight climate change, right? So this is actually something that is highly triggering of the system because you know what's so funny? What was it? Voltaire that basically said, you know who your enemies are, but by the people you are not allowed to talk about. That's kind of how I feel about some of these things. It's like if you can't talk about it, or if it's something that is that you can get knocked off for, it seems to me like that would be the stuff I would be looking super, super extra careful at. Just saying. What do you, Dex? Have you noticed that a lot of the stuff that is really sensitive? It's the stuff that also has a lot of issues around it.
Oh, always. And yeah, it's sort of, it's almost like you can know, and you should know what they can knock you off for.
Well, and then check this out. So they're bringing, this is like out of Jurassic Park. It says the woolly mammoth was last seen 10,000 years ago during the Ice Age. Can bringing it back help cool our warming planet now? This looks like a scene out of the 5th Jurassic Park film, or 4th, or whatever it is. It says that's the bold idea put forward by Colossus, a bioscience and genetics engineering company that launches today and is backed by Harvard University and some of the world's most forward-thinking scientists. Fighting climate change with mammoths may seem crazy, but it has decades of research behind it. What? So for decades, they've been like, yeah, we need to just, genetically build a mammoth in the lab, apparently. It says, including the work of George Church, Ph.D., a world-renowned pioneer in genomics, or genomics. Church runs a lab at Harvard and has been exploring how to genetically re-engineer the woolly mammoth using its closest living relatives, the Asian elephant. It says the reason is this: one of the greatest threats to the Earth is the melting of the Arctic permafrost and its massive release of greenhouse gases that are stored safely in its freezer. It says, when the herds of woolly mammoth and other animals vanished, that area became covered with forest that keeps the earth warmer. Church is betting on the idea that the resurrected population of mammoths, if let loose in the Arctic, would chomp and stomp down the bush and trees, exposing the earth to sub-zero temperatures and allowing the tundra's original grasslands to grow back. So they're basically saying that these animals would just basically mow over like a steamroller all over these trees, and because it's flat and the wind or whatever, it's gonna expose the earth to colder temperatures. And then it says,
I'm sorry, but Caterpillar makes bigger machines than a woolly mammoth, so I don't understand this. It seems like a poor excuse to do some genome stuff, because you could just literally take equipment up there and plow down the trees and let grass grow, right? I mean, come on.
Well, I guess the humans...
We need an animal to do it?
Maybe they don't want humans up there, but you would think then they would have robots. You would think before... Okay, before doing woolly mammoths and some Jurassic Park, that they would probably go, hey, can we get drones to do this? Or robots that are self-sufficient, that charge themselves, that have a base in the Arctic. Like, that makes a little bit more sense than, hey, let's play God. But, I don't know.
It seems like you could get away with anything now if you put the label of you're trying to save the planet from CC, right? Like, okay, well, we're going to come up with this next crazy thing that nobody will buy, but you're going to buy it because we're going to save the planet.
Well, I also heard, they've been having a problem at one of our local beaches because it does have a slight odor, and they basically said that they don't want people swimming. So, I mean, reasonably, and obviously the most obvious answer is that we bring back megalodon. I mean, that's easy, right? Just bring back a megalodon, because that makes sense. A lot of sense. And former Pentagon UFO official Luis Elizondo, which a lot of people, I don't know why that name triggers so many people. I'm not a big, I'm not into his stuff, or at least I don't know much about him. I know that He definitely has a following now. It says, is to reveal shocking details in new book. Now, I have gotten so many different emails, especially since, a lot of the people that I know follow also Tyler. I know that recently him and Tyler had like a little exchange. Tyler did an interview where he was talking about him and basically his theory. And I've heard a lot of people that agree with Tyler's theory that Luis Elizondo is essentially somebody who is putting out possibly bad stuff, and then when it gets debunked, it makes the ufology scene look even worse, or it actually moves backwards, not forwards. The theory is that some of the videos that he's released are actually like night vision of planes or thermal images, of course, of helicopters or planes and things like that. So it says former Pentagon UFO official Luis Elizondo reveal shocking details in the new book. It says a former head of the U.S. government's secretive UFO program will pen a book for HarperCollins that includes profound implications for humanity. The former director of a secretive U.S. government UFO program is ready to tell his story. Luis Elizondo, who in 2010 headed the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AAT TIP, effort to study UFOs around the world, has signed a book deal with William Morrow, an imprint of HarperCollins. The memoir, quote, promises to reveal shocking, never before shared details regarding what Elizondo has learned about UFOs and the profound implications for humanity, all which will escalate what is already a hot topic globally. So do you think that he's actually going to say anything new? I honestly think that if he was any kind of contract, he's not going to say some secretive stuff in this book. He's going to say more of the same that will end up on a History Channel kind of show where they talk about ancient aliens or something like that. I still have not seen something like this turn into anything.
And the phrasing there, it's what he has learned.
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be anything. That could just be benign nonsense of like whatever he thinks is interesting, right? It doesn't mean that all of a sudden, top secret documents are going to be revealed, right? But it's funny when people write books and then they go on these tours to talk about them before they get them out, or even before this was written. I don't even know when this is coming out. It's probably like next year, but it's like, of course there's going to be secrets revealed, right? Otherwise, who's going to want to buy it?
Yeah, no, and of course he's got it. Nobody would buy it unless he said, all of this, it's going to be really, really good, that kind of stuff. By the way, it looks like several people got missed last night. Darlin Kiki 66 says, thank you, Marf and Dex, for all you do. Tristan Early, I missed last night. Just ended up doing an 11:11 super chat last night. James Fox, Narrow Gate says, God won't let you fail, Marf. Do not fret. It says, Sir Budrick, they could draft you, then force you to get the And then Delaware Sasquatch, I missed you. Coffee Pop Mama says, SHTF is already happening, just one nasty turd at a time. Great job, Adam and Dex. Thanks, love and prayers. I don't know if you meant turd, but I guess that works. That actually works. Thank you, Coffee Pot Mama. Delaware Sasquatch, troubling news from DE, and then basically said that the Delaware National Guard. So, by the way, if you have not watched the video that I posted on my Twitter, that video is scary. The lady talking about the actual National Guard spokesman. She is a military position. I forget if she's lieutenant colonel or something like that. She is the one who does all of the videos directly to them when they get a deployment, or if they have any kind of email letter, it's sent from her. She sent the message basically to line up everything, to get your dental affairs in order, that that they're going to need at least 500 airmen because of the Delta Airlines situation, if you know what I mean. And they needed, all these people, and basically said, you were going to get deployed. Now, if you watch that video compared to any other video, she did 20 different videos. That woman looks horrified. And I was watching it with my aunt the other night, and she's just gulping the whole time. She looks terrified. Now, if you think that that's what her normal face, I literally looked up tons of videos of her, and I could not find one where she looked horrified, glassy-eyed, shaky in the voice, gulping the entire time, telling people that, we're going to need all these people, and, basically to get all of your stuff in line, get all your dental work, get your foreign travel card, get all of that stuff. And, Dex, I don't know if anybody caught that, but they said to get your foreign travel card, why would you need that if you were just helping out in Oregon, right? Anyways, so maybe I don't know. Maybe it was the just travel card in general. I want to say it was the foreign passport card or whatever it was. That lady, watch that video again. I'll repost it and I'll put it on a fresh one. It's unlisted. It's not public. It was directly to the Air National Guard, basically telling them to get everything in line. There is so much going on right now. It is incredible. At this point, how do people not see what's happening? China has cut out everything. China has just recently dropped all English schools. They don't want any English taught in their schools. They don't want English, period. They don't want anything from Western culture. They don't want people watching TV, watching movies, anything. Overnight in China, it went back to 1979. That's what's so scary to me, because something massive is going on. Then their law that they passed about letting to mark any ship, they want any and every ship they're now saying, we'll come to your waters, we'll threaten you, and blah, blah, all this. If any ship comes in without clarifying that it's there, I think that's because they know that if the American Navy is right there, that they can defend it. Their whole plan, they have said, is that that America will not have time to respond to Taiwan, and they'll be able to take Taiwan out in a matter of minutes. They say that they would be able to take it out in a matter of minutes. That's how fast they would be able to take out strategic key points. So they know it's going to take a day or however long for the Navy to get there. So they want to know every ship that's in the South China Sea from now on, because now they're planning and they're about to do it. That's my theory. Again, I think that it is very, very clear that they're at very least going to take Taiwan, and that's guaranteed. I hope that it does not turn into a full-scale conflict, but look at what they're doing. They're basically throwing away trillions of dollars. Now it is an insane decision. Everybody, even Soros, is telling people, do not invest in China. That's scary. Blackwater just invested so much money and put all the money. I think they got set up. Like somebody at Blackwater, like China told them to do that, and then once they had that money, once they got that payment, they were like, okay, let's do this. We got enough to do this for a long time. And they're pulling the trigger. That's what I think anyways. Again, what do you think? Anyways, Luis Elizondo, what do you think about him? Leave it in the comments down below. And then April Sheldon, again, I appreciate you, everybody that popped in. There was somebody that just did one. Who was that? That was Dail Gomez. Thank you, and thank you. Says, thanks for all you do when you were there when gas was crazy. Thank you. And then Sherry Carroll says, when we pray, God hears more than what we say, answers more than we ask, gives more than we imagine in his own time and in his own way. And then Greg Bryson, I appreciate you. Thank you for being the first one out and supporting our show. I appreciate you. In other stories, we have SpaceX to launch private all-civilian crew into Earth orbit. Dex, so it sounds like you could jump on there, right? You could actually... You could get on there if you wanted, right?
Apparently so. I mean, you got to go through a little bit of training, it sounds like. But yeah, these are civilians, and this is a civilian manned launch that is, I guess, flown autonomously. There's no pilot.
But this isn't like Virgin Galactic, and this is something else. Is this?
Oh no, this is. I think they're going up for a good 3 days or longer. They're going to be in orbit, and yeah. Spending the night, sleeping in space.
So this must be higher than the Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin spaceships, because they spent like 30 seconds in fake anti-gravity. So this is going up to the dome or whatever, right? And then floating around for 3 days, apparently. It says SpaceX is set to launch 4 people into space Wednesday on a 3-day mission that is the first to orbit the Earth with exclusively private citizens on board, as Elon Musk's company enters the space tourism fray. The Inspiration 4 mission caps a summer that saw billionaires Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos cross the final frontier on Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin spaceships, respectively, a few days apart in July. The SpaceX flight has been chartered by an American billionaire, Jared Isaacman, a 38-year-old founder and CEO of payment processing company Shift4 Payment, and he is also a seasoned pilot. The exact price he paid SpaceX hasn't been disclosed, but it runs into the tens of millions of dollars. The mission itself is far more ambitious in the scope than the few waitless minutes Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin customers can buy. Elon Musk basically tries to, he just like, instead of like one-upping, he just like slaps them in the face and says, just go to your doghouse. If this is true, right? It's like, oh, well, you can get, we offer you 2.5 minutes of anti-gravity. And then Elon Musk is like, you want a 3-day trip, yo? We got Gilligan's Island in space, bro. The risk is not zero, said Isaacman in an episode of a Netflix documentary about the mission. It says you're riding a rocket at 17,500 miles per hour around the Earth. In that kind of environment, there's risk. So these guys could die. I mean, honestly, if, you know, this could be set up for them too, you know, or them to go into witness protection or something, who knows. Would you do this? Would you get up in a capsule, no matter what the brand is, or do you have a certain brand? Would you go up in SpaceX, but would you not in Virgin Galactic or Blue Origin, or vice versa? Would you actually do this? I would love to hear your answer on that. In fact, I'll turn on the chat. If you were to go up to space, if it was real and everything worked out and you were able to go up, would you go on any of the 3? Which one would you go on? Or would you go on any? SpaceX only. Neither. No thanks. No way. Yeah. Wait. Somebody says SpaceX. Hopefully you're not going to be a slight anomaly. Yeah. If you remember their slight anomaly, that was where they said, you know, the slight anomaly was the human capsule exploding into bits and pieces no bigger than a thumbtack.
And Adam, this just a heads up, this actually is launching Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So 5 p.m. your time out of Florida.
8 p.m. Okay, so Eastern, so 5 o'clock. Maybe we can go live and then show parts of it or something. Because I want to watch that. Or we'll watch it before the show and give the highlights. I don't know. I want to see if something goes wrong, to be honest. I mean, it's what a crazy thing. And if this is what they say it is, and this starts becoming the normal, what if this, you know, I think that, you know, I think that something is going on here.
I mean, imagine a day that comes that these rockets are going off 6 times a day, right? That there's that many people that want to take trips for, you know, 3 days, 7 days, sort of like taking a cruise, you know, you on a 7-day cruise, a 5-day cruise, a 7-night cruise. You want to swing around the moon and back?
Okay, so, well, exactly. And so just so you realize, they are either going to lie to us on a massive scale, because here's what they're saying. So Elon Musk, it says in this short amount of time, unless he passes away and the company goes bankrupt overnight, that he's going to start, what was it? It was going to be like 1,000 people a day or something. When they do eventually, this will be supposedly in our lifetime, in the next 5-10 years, that they're going to start sending people up, right? Isn't that right, or am I wrong?
It should be. Yeah, we'll see it.
They say by 2025, China will have this humongous structure, or they'll be started on building this gigantic miles-long structure. There are other companies and other. Here's what's crazy. This used to be only something that the government could do, but now corporations have more money than actual GDPs of whole countries, and now these companies are actually doing things that you would think that America would be doing, or the country in charge of the world. When we first had, the space race back in the day, the fake space race, right? When that was put into play, it was the richest planet, or the richest country on the planet, right? Now it's companies. And that should tell you something about other things too. Who do you think is really running this planet? It's the companies. It's these companies that want us to be completely dependent on their products and to just consume, rinse, repeat. You think I'm joking? I mean, it's downright crazy. So what we might see in our lifetime, this crazy situation where we have space hotels in space that we can see floating by. And if it's all fake, then of course, yeah, later on we'll see. Well, that's the thing. That's the argument that time will tell. I don't think any person who does not believe in ball, I don't think they're going to be convinced until they're physically up there, and I don't, and vice versa. Let's see here. Bones, what's going on? Thank you. And by the way, thank you, Bones. Made a great point. So basically, do not disrespect anybody else in the chat, no matter what their view is. If you have completely opposite views, that is even a better reason to push each other up and be like, that's awesome you think that. You don't have to be triggered, especially in our chat. That is the entire point of this. Think about this as the one place you can go, and even if there's people that say the opposite and normally would trigger you to go, I can't believe they believe that. Guess what? This is the one place where they can say it, and you're not allowed to get triggered, because guess what? That's what we all want. We want to be able to speak without somebody making fun of us. Have a place where we can believe what we want to believe in. And again, if you disagree with that person, you can kindly offer them, explanations of why you think that different without arguing. How it used to be. Okay, before we move on, I do want to remind you right now, My Patriot Supply is actually doing $200 off on a 3-month supply. I shouldn't have to tell any of you why we're doing this. I honestly think, so this is an affiliate. What that means is when you end up going through them, you end up getting a really awesome discount. The company does that because we are bringing them somebody. They give you $200 off on 3 months. You give you $50 off in a month. And then in return, they give us a small commission of that. This is how the YouTube ecosystem works. It's how we make our money, since all of the advertisements and all that kind of stuff, they don't like us. So stuff like this helps us as an independent little channel. We are basically working up against an upwards hill. This is something we believe will save lives in the end. Again, if you have extra food, water, these are the essentials of life, or even water filters, they have everything on there. Anything you go through to that link to get, then that will help our channel. Again, there's so much going on right now. I don't know. I tell people, if you're not at least trying to do the cheap and affordable way, like doing $5 a week, you should be doing that if you can't afford something like this. Don't buy this before you pay your light bills. Don't do this before you do something else. Make sure you can afford it, but make sure to go get supplies. This is, I don't know how many examples people need right in front of their eyes, but it's pretty crazy. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get all sorts of things there, from battery packs to flashlights to basically anything you need to survive. You can get there at marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, marfooglenews.com/prep. All right, and then, let's see here. The Taliban recover bags full of money from Salah's resident. That name sounds familiar. Isn't that the guy who, It says Taliban claimed to have recovered U.S. dollars and gold bars stashed away at the residence of Amarullah Saleh, the ousted Afghan president, who became one of the leaders of the anti-Taliban opposition forces in the Panjshir Valley. Okay, so...
VP.
Okay, so this is... Wait a second. Oh, okay, so this is the VP. So if you know about anything about the actual president, actually could not fit all of his American cash into a helicopter. So they were like, well, we have to get your other employees and stuff. He's like, well, can't I just bring the cash? I'll give them some cash and they can just get Uber, Uber to America. No, sir, that doesn't work. You're going to have to find somewhere else to put your cash. It weighs too much. Your gold bars are going to have to go somewhere. He stuffed 4 full SUVs to the brim, enough room for a driver. People say that there was no room except for to literally go like this with U.S. cash. That's how much money this guy had. And you don't think that this was some sort of operation? Because over there, it's not like you have a Bank of America that you can reliably put your money in. So when he was ousted or left or was paid or whatever the hell he did, he took 4 truckloads of money. 4 SUV, bulletproof SUVs loaded with cash on top of what was in the helicopter. Can you imagine having that kind of money? And this is his vice president, the residents of Amarullah Salah, the ousted Afghan VP who became one of the leaders of the anti-T opposition forces in Panjshir Valley. Amadella Matuki, chief of the Taliban's multimedia branch, took to Twitter to post a video of purported raid on Salah's residence. India Today reported on Monday. The video shows Taliban fighters sitting around 2 suitcases stuffed with foreign currency and gold bars. Do you realize how much one gold bar? Oh my gosh. So it says a total of $6.5 million US. Oh my gosh. This was the VP had $6.5 million. How do you have that much money as a VP of this kind of country, right? Oh yeah, because the US government's paying you. This is where our tax dollars go. And guess what? 18 gold bars. Where do you get the gold? Dex, do you know how one gold bar? I mean, we're not talking about gold coins.
They have 18 of them they found. It's worth about $12 million or more.
Oh my gosh. Any one of us could retire for life on that. I'm just blown away right now. That's over almost $20 million. And nobody's investigating? They should, since we're on such good terms with the Taliban, the salamanders here, we should go in there and say, hey, can you just let us investigate? You hate these guys. Anyways, can we investigate and see what the hell they were actually up to? How did they get $20 million? And guess what? If he left and he left that, what did he take with him? Because that makes a whole lot more sense. They say that this was stashed. What the other guy took was 4 carfuls of money. Do you realize how much physical space US dollars take up? I mean, they're not ones. They're not, for the strip joint or something. These are probably 20s, 100s, or whatever, and they're in stacks like this. So how would you fill up 4 trucks? How much did he take with him if this is what he left? This was too heavy. 18 gold bars, right? What did he take with him? Yeah, I'm not going to read what it says here. You can go, as far as the language in the video, you can go watch it for yourself. But if this is true, that's absolutely disgusting. Teresa White, thank you for subscribing. Matthew Imgrun, thank you for subscribing. JM, thank you for subscribing again. CM, thank you for this super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you for your massive support. CM, let's get a CM in the chat. Thank you so much. And then Ilea, Canadian prepper, says to always stay prepared just in case, quote, the fecal matter hits the proverbial oscillating device. I've heard, I don't know who, I think if he came up with that, now I've heard other people started to say it. I remember the first time I heard that, which I believe was Canadian prepper. I just thought that was freaking awesome. David Huntley, thank you for subscribing. Jamie Mays, we've got Richard just subscribed. Thank you so much. And Dial Gomez, thank you again. Stormhawk, thank you for being the last one out last time. I appreciate that. And then we have everything we know about NK's strategic cruise missile. pretty insane stuff here. Groovy Grandma, thank you. Says, hey, you two, we love you too because you keep us in the know. And then Lisa K23, thank you. So as far as Dex, you want to talk about this new thing? Because, by the way, we talked about how at the parade, NK, their new parade, they had hazmat suits and a lot of them, but they didn't have as much missiles on display. Why do you think that is, and what is this new missile?
Well, maybe it's because they were getting ready to test it, but apparently they have launched a new cruise missile, and it's a ground launch type device. And they call it specifically a strategic weapon of great significance, end quote.
Oh my gosh, did they really just call it that? Hold on. I think they just were looking Google Translate. It says a strategic weapon of great significance. It sounds like the Amazon description on a made in China product. It says a ground launch cruise missile, which NK describes as this. It says has been successfully tested according to the country's state media outlet KCNA. A new cruise missile, the latest in a long line of increasingly advanced strategic weapons developed by NK regime, could potentially provide the country with an important new capability. With a low-flying standoff weapon able to strike anywhere in South Korea and even as far as Japan. In this context, the use of the word strategic normally implies the carriage of a nuclear warhead. I have a cousin that is in South Korea right now on a school thing with UW, I think, something like that, wherever. To be honest, I can't remember where she's going now. But I told my aunt, she specifically asked me last night, have you heard anything about, South Korea? And I said no. And then, stuff like this happens, and I'm, obviously it's going to make somebody like my aunt nervous with her daughter in South Korea. Do you think NK would ever use something like this on South Korea? Or do you think that they're just all talk? Because eventually, if the wrong thing happens, or Kim is about to die or something anyways, maybe he's gravely ill, and before he dies and he knows he's going to go, maybe he does something crazy. Here's the thing. When you have a ruler like Xi Jinping or Kim Jong-un, who legitimately have every bit of power in one person, so if they say, just do this, and even if it's going to take out the whole country, if they do, he can do that. Xi, if he wanted to, he could declare, conflict on the whole world, and nobody can stop that. There is no, there's no vote. There's no deciding by the people. So that's what it kind of freaks me out. All I would need is one psychopath to be in his position with the right kind of equipment. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Put it in the chat below.
And I don't know how much it requires them to be just a psychopath. They actually have to be able to achieve something, right? So yeah, I always think like these guys, these dictators, these leaders, these whatever you want to call them in these different positions, when they make decisions like that, they don't just make them, usually they don't just make them just to say, F it, I'm out of here. They really want to leave a legacy, and they think that they're doing something they can actually accomplish. Like, China and Xi thinks, he's got the heavenly mandate. He's pushing forward on this, and he's doing everything that he can in his power to do and achieve those goals. And not only that, it's his legacy, but it's also he thinks he can do it. NK, on the other hand, may want to do all those things. I don't know if they can necessarily always pull it off. Otherwise, and the flip side, you ask, would he even hit those countries? Well, those are the only two countries he can hit, because his alternatives are his allies, which are Russia and China, and he's not doing that. So,
yeah, so he basically has a couple of choices. Otherwise, we've talked about what the EMP task force and of course, Peter Pry is head of the White House's EMP task force. They have already completed tests that we now know. It later came out that Russia handed them, they say, or they acquired, or we gave them the design for the advanced EMP. That was why, that's part of the whole thing that we've put out a couple of videos in the past that go over all of this information. We're trying to put more videos out that are more compact and have all of that information, so you don't have to watch the 2-hour show to get some of this stuff, and so, videos that you can share with your family. That video, I think, is still very important and very, very current. Something big is happening, and we might even have multiple humongous events happen at once on top of a reset, which is very, very clearly happening right now. Just want people to think, like, if they don't believe that things are trying to restructure, think about this. All of the most powerful money in the world is backed on something that they say they're not going to be using in a short few years. And they're the ones pushing not to use it anymore. The reason why is they want to go in this more efficient digital everything, right? When we don't need an oil-backed dollar, then guess what? Somebody else is going to take that spot. The U.S. is not going to hold that spot as what the world trades by. Something else is going to take that spot. Before we move on, I want to point out on web only, there is a video that I had Dex post here, and it is a very, very informational video. Did you get it in here, Dex? I think. Yeah,
I think it is. It should be the first. Let me go check.
It might be on the regular not. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So this video is extremely, extremely well put together. It says the next big threat, Chinese air power. So a lot, and they even talk about it. The first things out of their mouth is there's this big misconception that China's behind, made in China. It's made with Harbor Freight tools or whatever you want to say. They've spent all their money for their own stuff. Basically, they'll buy their kids the cheapo Ross clothing, but then they'll shop for themselves and go shop at Nordstrom, if you get my meaning. So yeah, when they're shopping for other people, you get the Shaquille O'Neals instead of the Jordans, right? So I want to pause this. This video goes over a lot of different information all in one. The gentleman that's talking is actually he is, let's see here, I forgot what his name is. He's a very, very, very intelligent expert on aviation. He's an aviation expert. He's been studying this and going into this, but this is very scary because people hate it when I say it, but this is what we were told. This was information we got, and we want to clarify that we did tell people, and you guys knew this way before anybody else. At least, before anybody in the public mainstream was saying, who was talking 2 years ago saying, oh, China is going to have the biggest air force in the world? We told you that they were making them at breakneck speeds. They said it's so staggering and so unbelievable. They didn't fathom how fast they were making them. They're making their air force so fast that they are grabbing people off the street for pilots. They have been for the last year. Do you remember when we covered that? China is grabbing people that are driving buses and saying, hey, we need to train you as a pilot. Why would they be doing that? Why are they cutting the Western world off? Why are they even cutting off to where kids can't play games? They can't watch movies. They can't do anything. They are turning into NK. NK is turning into China because now they've got more technology and they've got this axis of evil with the I countries, with Russia and everybody, and even India. One of the largest countries is actually drilling with Russia, which Russia is allies with China, and it just makes you scratch your head. Because remember, we were allies with Japan right up until Pearl Harbor. So whatever happened there, whether that was a Fantastic Freddy or not, what we saw as the public was Japan was, talking good with us, and then all of a sudden, bam, right? So India, they say they're good, but then all of a sudden they're training with Russia, who's allies with China. And India and China were butting heads at the border, or their nondescript border that they do not have a line of. They were fighting every day, pushing each other off cliffs, and then all of a sudden, we cover stories that basically say that India pulled back. They pulled all their troops, everything back. China pulled all their troops back. Why? Did they make peace? Did they say, hey, this is about to go down. If you want to survive it, you need to get on the right side. So something is happening here. So make sure to watch this video. If you do, or if you're into aviation and if you want to hear about the actual stats and or kind of what they're going on about and what they put together, it was very, very informational. Make sure to go check that out. And I told you so. Sorry, had to do it. Okay, sorry. And then let's see. Let's not get to that yet. And then teach the U.S. Taiwan Island a real lesson if they call for it. Global Times editorial. Okay, Dex. So do you want to explain this?
How's that for a translation?
Teach the U.S. Taiwan Island a real lesson if they call for it. Global Times editorial. Now, Global Times is the mouthpiece for the Chinese government. So
Correct.
Do you want to explain?
It's People's Daily. It's an offshoot of that. But yeah, this is an opinion piece that's coming from one of basically the state-run media organizations. So you can basically bank on the fact that this is, the CCP saying exactly what they want people to hear. And what they're basically saying is that if the U.S., which is being asked to change the name of I guess the office for Taiwan in the U.S. to something that is specific to Taiwan and not Taipei, economical and cultural representative office, to the Taiwan representative office, if they change that, they're saying they're going to teach us a lesson.
So, because if we recognize them in any way, including changing this office to the Office of Taiwan instead of, Beijing's biatch or whatever they want them to call it, they will consider that an act of war. They're putting this out through the Global Times. Also, if you did not read the actual piece that was put out by Szechuan Daily or Szechuan newspaper and the People's Daily and Global Times prior on August 29th, now 14 days ago, 2 weeks ago exactly almost, they told their entire population, which now has been cut off from a whole ton of things, their gospel, the thing that every single person in certain generations and almost every person in the younger generation reads, that the U.S. was behind the CV, that we did a bio on them, and that everything that is happening right now, and they're speaking of, hey, they're speaking to their country saying, hey, everything that's happened in the last 2 weeks, like us getting rid of English schools, which is one of the only ways that, any foreigner can come in. We're getting rid of English schools. We don't want effeminate men on TV, all this stuff. I mean, you can see they're getting ready for war, and they're getting their people and their culture ready for war. At the same time, the U.S. just threw women into the draft. At the same time, we're doing all this stuff. That was just the latest, right? Adding women, and it's not a proposed bill. It's in it's in the budget proposal, and it's basically going to go through. It's not about equality. I think it's about they need all hands on deck. So if you are really out of it right now, and not following this, I really hope that you do, follow some of the actual stuff that's coming out of China from the Chinese perspective as well. They're preparing. Really, the whole world probably hope that they just take Taiwan, right? I hope somebody stands up for them if we don't. The world would be losing a democracy, or one of the few, right? LJ Angulo, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. And then PZ says 1 John 4:8. Is that 1 John 4:8? Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. Hey, PZ, thank you so much. And again, thank you for being on there. I appreciate that. And then Grayman Prepping, God bless you. Grayman Prepping, thanks for all the information you provide. brother, thank you. And April Sheldon, I appreciate your super sticker as well. Vladimira, I love that. I love their name. That's awesome. Vladimira, thank you so much. And James Fox, I appreciate you as well. Brandon Mulway says, just wanted to drop you a super chat before I go to bed. I really look forward to your shows. You help me make my 10-hour shifts more bearable. Keep up the great work, Marf, Dex, and mods. Please don't forget to touch in an inappropriate way the thumbs up icon. I don't like that word. Canadian Prepper says to always stay prepared just in case the fecal matter hits the pan. All right. And then we have why the world should be more than a bit worried about India's Nipah virus outbreak. So Dex, I'll let you cover this. This is something that has a much worse death rate than a normal this has a much worse death rate than what's shutting down the world right now. So do you want to talk about this?
Well, yeah, certainly. So this is not the same thing that we think about right now because everybody's got their mind on CV. This is actually something completely different. It's been around. It's exposed itself in India before, and they've been able to quelch it. But the things that are really concerning about this is that the survival rates are extremely low. I think they've estimated anywhere from a 68% to 70% death rate on this particular virus. So, if this does get out, it's a big deal, right? And so they, in the past haven't seen that ratio, that transmission ratio that's greater than 1. In other words, if one person gets it, how many people do they spread it to? And if it's less than 1, then it doesn't necessarily go, viral, so to speak, into pandemic mode. But if it's greater than that, it does. And they have seen in instances of super spreaders, but they don't always see that. But the thing that they're worried about is how this thing is potentially changing, over time, like, a variant, as you would call it. So that's sort of what is alarming when this pops back up again and again, that they're wondering, okay, has something changed? They have to study it. They know nothing. They don't know a lot about this particular virus other than it has caused and wreaked a lot of havoc. And apparently somebody has passed. And they're, trying to investigate now and figure out what more do we need to be worried about. And is this becoming something that could be, the next warnings that we need to be taking heed on around the world as opposed to just in India?
And again, we're talking about the actual kind of super spread. This is the real scary stuff. This is the real stuff, right? This is the kind of stuff, 2 out of 3 perish that get this. That's a 2 to 3. And then that ratio, like Dex was saying, that's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of CV, what the ratio was. Like every one person that gets it can pass it on to 3, or if it's anything 1 to 1, then it turns into something that can go on for forever or turn into a massive epidemic of massive proportions, right? The Nipah, again, is something, will it just come and go? Will they contain it right away? One thing I think of is now that they are possibly, now practicing with the enemy, I just think about the warning from the DOD gentleman that I spoke to, and active duty, saying that they are most worried about bio. That is their biggest worry right now, among a lot of the stuff going on. They're practicing for bio. They're practicing for lights out. They're practicing for essentially an invasion. So don't know how people are missing this. I mean, what do you think those, takeoffs and landings on highways are for the A-10 Warthogs? You wouldn't need to use the middle of the country for landing and taking off unless all of the bases were destroyed in the U.S. You wouldn't be doing, GPS-free training, turning off everything for a whole, half a state so they can drill truly in the dark. It's like, obviously this is not a good thing, but most people will look at this and say, oh, it will just be like everything else, West Nile and all this and that. I hope this doesn't get out, because this is not a good number.
in this instance, with one person that they had identified that had perished from it, they have isolated over 251 people that were, in some way, shape, form in contact with this person.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of people, and obviously
that's why people
are
are
taking
scared.
it pretty serious.
That's why people are scared of that one, because there are so many people that had to be grabbed and set aside. 250 people, that's a lot. For instance, they grabbed like 7 people when the first CV victim was in the United States, the one that was in Seattle at least. It was like he had contact with 7 people since he was at the airport, and then grabbed like 30 or 40 people from wherever it was. And then Anthony, everybody knows Anthony, good old Tony, says he would support the requirement for air travel. This is the U.S. This is the regular world. I thought this isn't China. This isn't the social credit score. Okay. This is for us. This is. Dr. Tony has expressed his support for requirements for air travel, as the B administration did not rule it out. Said, quote, I would support that if you want to get on a plane and travel with other people, that you should be. The White House chief medical advisor said in an interview with the Skim podcast. The Hill reported. It says the White House CV response team coordinator Jeff Zients and the administration, quote, is not taking any measures off the table. This is the same logo and same slogans they use when they talk about conflict and war. It says when asked if they had ruled out ever implementing the and testing requirements for domestic flights. You just wouldn't travel, or at least that way, right?
And it won't stop there, because if you're doing it in an airplane, they're already talking about this in lots of different areas.
Highway travel?
But it's going to be buses, it's going to be subways, it's going to be trains, anything that's an enclosed passenger type environment, right? And then, if that's not good enough, I guess we can take it further. But that's, this is what we saw happening in Europe. We've seen, lots of other places try to take this up, and even people like Anthony have said it didn't need to be this way and it wasn't going to be this way, but then turns around and says, yeah, I'll back this. We should force this, because I guess these are privileges that we should have, not rights, not the ability to travel freely in our own country, right?
One thing that I don't get is that there are solid facts there that can be confirmed by both sides about a certain person. How in the world are people ignoring these things? How in the world are people ignoring the connections that were just made between a certain lab, a certain person, and a certain place in another country, and a certain foundation, and a certain set of billionaires, and a certain practice beforehand, and What is stupid, Alex? Too soon. New pandemic rules for NYC restaurants, city workers, schools in effect. From restaurants to schools and new requirements for city workers. Big changes have started in New York City, and that will be on Monday in the ongoing fight against the fight. By the way, oh man, did you see? I gotta show you. Okay, the ongoing fight against, right? I do enjoy this. I thoroughly do. This is Elon Musk. And oh my gosh, he changed his name to Name. Did you see that? So it says the last CV let me shrink that a little. The last CV Zulu variant. Why is it doing that? Let's see here. It says, why do I feel like an 80-year-old that's trying a mouse for the first time? What the hell? Okay, you are just being a bad girl. Okay, forget it. It says the last Zulu variant, and it's basically showing the alien from Star Troopers, and it says submitted. What Elon is saying there is that this is going to last forever, that this is not going to end anytime soon, and Elon is saying that. But again, so this is... Okay, so I'll just zoom into this one so you can see it. It says the last CV Zulu variant surrenders to the UN Space Force, effectively marking an end to the Onkovan Kalendathu 2554. This is Elon Musk's official account, and what he is saying, and he is somebody who is in the know on every part of the government. He is digging tunnels, digging bunkers. He's putting a grid around space for the U.S. Space Force. He's connected in every way. He's doing Neuralink stuff with the government. He's doing experiments on pigs with the Bee administration. Or his wife, whatever. He is on the in, and I promise you, he knows stuff. Basically, what he's saying, and I'm pretty sure most people get this. It's not going to end. It's never ending. This is going to go on for years and years and years and years. That's a scary thought. I would love for Joseph Newhouse or somebody to look. Why did he change his name to name? And is there any symbology there? Everything he does seems like a cryptic message. This picture alone, what is this from? It looks like a garbage can, but maybe it's SpaceX. I don't know. Maybe it's them placing the top. Either way, Amujilution. Everything he does basically has like a weird meaning. All right. Okay, not there yet. More than 30 types of businesses will be affected by this. You can go to marfooglenews.com and read the rest of this. It's some pretty freaky stuff. In the meantime, I would hope that if you have not already, I would hope that you would go over to EMP Shield and at least check out their different devices that can protect you against an EMP. This is one of the biggest threats to our country from many different, as far as not just countries, from natural kinds. Carrington level event is overdue right now. There is something that you can actually do that would stop this from affecting your devices, whether that be your house, your generator, your car. You don't want to be stuck somewhere after a huge solar storm hits or after, of course, an EMP hits. You can protect your generators, your RVs, your motorcycles, your cars, your houses, of course. Pretty much anything they make a device for. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and you will get $50 off per device on top of every sale that they do. So if they are running a sale right now, you would get that $50 off on top of whatever discount that they do. It blocks against all three phases of an E1, E2, and E3 EMP, and it will protect you against solar flare, again, the natural kind. Will also protect your home against lightning. If anything happens to your home if a lightning strike hits and it damages it, they will cover, no questions asked, $25,000 if the EMP shield does not do its job. And then, of course, this is the same company that is now working with DOD, DHS, and the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, you don't want to be stuck out somewhere and not be able to get home. All right, Dex. we'll talk about this in a second. They're going to return the fences in advance of the September 18. And then, of course, we have the Department of Homeland Security chief of staff resigns. Some pretty weird timing on a lot of this.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, seeing the fences go back up is kind of, it brings back the memories of what happened in January. And I'm sure plenty of people will think the same thing. And hopefully a lot of people will avoid getting caught up in anything that may be being created there, whether it's created by outside or created by inside, right? I would highly recommend people not get caught up in that, because it doesn't look like whatever will go down there would be the right thing.
Well, it just sucks, because if you say that, then if nobody shows, it's like people want to stand up for this stuff, and if you stand up to it, you might be part of the next Fantastic, right? The Fantastic Fred. This is really sad, because people are afraid to go because they don't want it to be another event like what was last time, but T-Man's not involved, so I don't know if that will be what it is, but anything could happen. Now we have the T-Ban around and all this other stuff. I say go with your gut. Go with what you think is right. But here's the weird thing. Right before this supposed event that's going down on the 18th or whatever, Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security, the person that's kind of the chief of staff to Homeland Security, is stepping down for an undisclosed opportunity. So basically won't say what she is getting moved up to or moved down to, or if she's moving to a secret base or down to a bunker or whatever. It says Karen Olick, the chief of staff to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, announced Monday that she's resigning to move on to another undisclosed opportunity. It says the post will temporarily be filled by Jennifer Higgins, who will serve as Associate Director of Refugee, Asylum, and International Operations at U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services until someone is appointed. So it's a very kind of specific area kind of job there. The official said the shakeup, first reported by Politico, comes as DHS faces a range of challenges, from grappling with high numbers at migrant apprehensions at the U.S.-Mexico border, hitting that big wall and then going, oh, we don't need a wall, just run through, to most recently serving as the lead coordinating agency in Afghan resettlement efforts. A lot of resettlement efforts. By the end of September, the administration is anticipating the arrival of 65,000 Afghan refugees to the United States, and another 30,000 are expected in the next 12 months. It is an extraordinary number of arrivals compared to the last 4 years of admissions, who averaged around 2,000 a month. Steep decline from previous administrations. Oh, by the way, so that's basically 100,000, and a very good chunk of those could be, what were they called? Terrorists. But, because they do know that, like, a certain ratio is loyal to the other factions. So, whatever, it's cool. It's cool. Brick house. Mighty. Capitol fence to return in advance of September 18th J6 rally. This whole thing is put on together to basically protest that there's people still in from that. And they're actually putting the fence back up. It says the fence surrounding the U.S. is set to return ahead of the pro-T-Moon rally on September 18th, and the head of the no-cap police confirmed on Monday. It says, quote, the fence will go up a day or two before, and if everything goes well, will come down very soon after, Cap Polo. Chief Thomas Manger told reporters in the Capitol. By the way, I don't know if you knew this, but and again, it wasn't put out publicly. It was on our site. The man who took the life of the one person that perished that day, they put out his name. I don't know if you guys knew that. A lot of you do. I'm sure a lot of you are really smart and follow everything and realize that was at the same time that this huge stuff was going on. And then they quietly released name and everything. And I think it was actually the gentleman. I didn't see the picture, but I think it was the gentleman that was in that video that was running up the stairs and drawing them away and something like that. I think that was him. But they didn't want to say it. But anyways, that came out. Didn't know if you guys knew. For a long time, they wouldn't say that. And then scorned wife raids ex-husband's cryogenics lab, stealing frozen brains of people who hoped to be brought back to life. Scorned wife raided her ex-husband's cryogenics labs and stole the frozen brains of people who hoped to be brought back to life. Valerie Yodolova, 59, and staff from her company grabbed the remains of people who paid thousands of pounds hoping that they could be resurrected. This is like the Lorena Brainett of ex-wives. Some of the corpses were from Britain and the U.S. and were stored in Valeria's ex-husband Danila Medelev 41 lab in the Moscow region in Russia. The lab is Russia's leading cryo storage facility, says reports. They drained liquid nitrogen from giant Dower flasks containing frozen bodies and grabbed these and some detached human brains and then loaded them on trucks. Dex, something about this seems kind of fishy. They got human body parts and stuff and brains, and maybe they were doing it for testing or something.
And she fled and she got away, but apparently she got away with just someone's brain in a cryo storage container. So I wonder if that's what she was really after. If this one person's brain meant something and had some value. Who knows?
Well, I think he asked her for something, and I think he got the wrong result. Huh.
But if you wanted cryo storage and you're in the U.S., would you go to Russia for that? Just seemed a little odd. I don't know. Maybe we don't have a big cryo storage business here in the U.S., but I would have thought we did.
I think it's
it's just cheaper.
Have you ever heard of the one by the river? The Cryo River?
Yeah.
Leg cramp. Maryland Judge Jonathan Newell, 50, shoots himself dead as FBI swoops to arrest him for filming. Oh, man. Maryland Judge Jonathan Newell, 50, shoots himself dead as FBI swoops in to arrest him for that. Holy moly. A Maryland judge took his own as the FBI swooped in to arrest him for being a disgusting. And it says authorities showed up at the home of Jonathan Newell on Friday morning to arrest him on a federal criminal complaint and found him of an apparent self-inflicted gun wound. Okay, so here's what I think about this. Since I learned about some of the stuff that they can put on to people's stuff, and if they have a political enemy, like, House of Cards kind of stuff, but in real life, just think about that. Now I don't judge anything anymore, because now I see a lot more of these, and it's just, you end up finding out that they end up being like witness to something, or they know somebody, or they're a very specific job, and it's like, how does this end up happening? Because nobody likes the kind of person that does that, right? That's even people in prison, take the lives of those people, right? So I mean, you can't even. Case, go ahead.
Yeah, in this case, he's being accused, or was accused of setting up a hidden camera, in a place where it shouldn't be, at a cabin, and that's what got tipped off. And apparently, people that were victims of that camera were accusing, and that started the investigation.
Ugh, I don't even. It gives me just my gut rots when I read this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible. And the last one was what? An FBI agent who was in charge of that group, of the group that was investigating that
That's
type of
right.
stuff. And he
oh
was,
my gosh.
and now this time it's a judge, right?
Okay, so if you don't remember, just a few days ago, same kind of thing, and it was the investigator, the FBI. This is so crazy because the FBI investigator that investigated this, like, so if this judge really did it, the guy who was in charge of the investigation for this exact kind of crime, he was caught doing it and had evidence of it on his stuff, whatever, right? So this is just like, this is too weird. FBI is like turning into the new Catholic Church. No offense to the Catholic Church, but you know, the scandals that happen, right? It's just a rough week. And, of course, a secretive Pentagon program that started on T-Man's last day in office just ended, but the mystery is not. Now, if you don't know about this, this is like, there is something huge here, and I need your help on this. First off, though, I do want to say huge, special thank you to Groovy Grandma. Lisa K, 23, Meat Puppets 007 says they had a outbreak on TV yesterday. Dan Houston says, thank you, Marf. I lived in China for 4 years. What you say is true. The CCP needs an enemy to survive. I don't like hearing that, but I agree with you. Elon also has said to buy Doge. Is that going all right? I have friends that are into it. You know, Crypto Batman, he's into the Dogecoin. He seems to be doing okay on it. I know it's under $1 still, and I don't think they say that it has the same potential or whatever, but. And then people secretly think that Elon owns Dogecoin for whatever reason. FN57, thank you. Divine 1122, Toadman, Bear Claws, Lady G 476, Angela 1609, Scooby Doo, and then I Love Jesus Forever. We've got Jaybird 42, Snapper B, all sorts of great people, including Jenny, Texas. So what this program, and you know, Dex, you can chime in. So this is really weird because this was a part of the internet that the government owned. Essentially what happened is the percentage that the government owned, a huge swath of internet web traffic was basically transferred to have control of it taken over by this apparently Defense Department's digital service or Defense Digital Service or something. And when it first happened, nobody knew what it was, and it was transferred to a building above like a normal like a Better Call Saul office on a corner, and it was in a little, you know, unnamed building above something, above a corner like restaurant.
Yeah, it was in Plantation, Florida, and the name of the company was Global Resource Systems, and it was, you know, and it was recently an established business, so. You know, it's questionable. Like, is this a shell corporation? Is this like a hidden business? Is this something happening in Florida? And nobody really knew. And this was, and when we talk about this, this is like 6% of, you know, the IP addresses that were available. And it's, you know, I think they said it had a potential worth of billions of dollars in the open market. These are IP addresses. Like, there's not enough. There's only so many IP addresses out there, right? And IP4, which is what we all use, and there's like 175 million of them that the Department of Defense had and had been holding on to for many, many decades, and apparently trying to use them for something, and they transferred them to this company on, you know, like the last minute before the switchover from the previous administration to this administration, literally like an hour before. But apparently now it's come back. The DoD has taken back control, transferred it back, but it's still not said what they're being used for. And even some people had said some of the IPs that did resolve were still resolving to the same places, like in Virginia, where a lot of other governmental servers are stored and housed. So there's still a lot of mystery going on as to what these were going to be used for, and why would they even make a transfer like this, and then why would they have only done it for a short period of time, for 6 months.
And so this was, I mean, minutes. So was this T-Man's last kind of hurrah? Did he do something secret to cement somebody getting in trouble? Was it the people that were ousting him that were secretly taking over? I mean, there's so much here. There will never, I don't know if there will ever be a clear answer, but minutes before DT left office, this is like something out of a movie. They transferred all 175 million IP addresses. And mind you, it's so funny that there's all these hacks going on right now. All these things are getting hacked by ransomware. I'm not saying that they're connected. I think it's unusual that right around this is when a lot of these things kind of started. But either way, it's just weird. Minutes before he left, and it went to a business that was placed over a corner apartment, like a weird diner, like one of these diners where you'd see in the movies where they're sitting at the table looking out the window with flowers, and one of those. Why was it above this ragtag building? The U.S. government, the Pentagon, sent all these addresses to an office above a diner. This real life is so much stranger than fiction. It's unbelievable. So just be ready. This is why we tell you, have extra food, have extra water. And people are going, well, why? What do you mean? Why? Why is this? Why we need extra food and water? So if you can't see something massive on the horizon, then I don't know what to say. It's like, how do people not see it? I don't get it. You guys do. Almost all of you do. All your families and friends think you're, loopy. Are you? Were you loopy about all of the other stuff that has now been considered not only true, anything that is true, but they don't want you to know, they can just literally say the opposite and say it and say it and say it. And then reports will come out 6 months later saying you were right, but it doesn't matter because guess what? By then it's old news and nobody cares that you were right. Stephen McMahon, thanks Adam and Dex for all you do. Survival Living, thank you for popping in before the end of the show. I really appreciate that. Ken Johnson, Grayman Prepping, says thanks for all the information you provide, brother. I appreciate your support. Thank you guys for doing that. Just crazy. And then Dex, do you want to explain Nord and then the web-only content?
Yeah, we need to cover the buses too.
Oh my gosh. That's right. Okay, so NordVPN is a virtual private network. If you haven't checked this out already, again, Dex will tell you why you should get a VPN, and then I'll pull up the bus story.
Yeah, absolutely. So NordVPN, make it really simple on yourself. Protect yourself from the bad guys. Prevent them from finding your IP address by using a virtual private network. This will move your location on the internet to another location, so they'll never be able to find out where you are. It'll secure your information so they can't snoop and spy on you. Very easy to use. It's literally like a light switch. Turn it on, turn it off. So easy. My mom can use it. And that's the truth. And honestly, it's even used to do other things besides just protect you. If you want to put yourself in another location, you can get access to content, or maybe you're being censored where you are, or things may be filtered where you are and you can't get information out. Having a VPN makes it easy for you to move to another location and then have access to that information, whether you're getting information out or trying to get information in. So definitely a tool for your tool chest. I use it all the time. I think it's a great product. It's the easiest one out there. That's why we went with it. It offers a great discount to you, and it helps support the channel. Just go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. You can use it on up to 6 devices. So basically, your whole family can share one account. marfooglenews.com/VPN.
Thank you, Dex. And that helps us do everything we do here. So one more thing here. So let me see here. So I don't think, where is that? Did I skip it, or let me see.
It should have been in the beginning, but I can get you a copy of it. Hang on.
Yeah, I don't see it. So hold on. Yeah, if we could put it in screener. There we go.
It's in screener.
Perfect. So check this out. Okay, so you can roll with this how you want. National Guard is putting all these soldiers, and they're saying that they need bus drivers. So it says Baker activates Massachusetts National Guard to fill in for school bus drivers. And I just heard a couple silly things, right? I heard silly things like they are going to be using the buses for something else, right? I do think that that's a little silly, but at the same time, it's like, what if they were actually, I guess, training to drive some of the bigger ones? I don't know if you would need training for the bigger ones, but what if they are? So say if you needed to evac a city or something, you always see in these movies where they use school buses to evacuate cities. Is it not? You know, in the zombie movies where, you know, you see the military, National Guard, the line, and people are getting their foreheads checked, and then they hop on the school bus and they go to the safe point or whatever. This is what I think of, right? Other people have thought the same. Otherwise,
I just want to know
how they can't find any bus drivers apparently.
Yeah, I just want to know if little Timmy, when he gets on the bus, is going to open the door and there's a
AK?
soldier in full uniform there, right?
Right,
Say,
AR.
You're taking me to school?
I think that's that would be a good thing.
Yeah, this is very interesting though. Like, what's the call? You know, is this really what the call up's for? But yeah, we've seen call ups for hospitals. We've seen call ups for lots of other things. This one is a call up for school bus drivers. That's a first for me.
The Oregon video, the West Coast, all of them are telling them this. That is absolutely terrible. I really wish I could know if we could play that. Like, play it for sure without getting to, that video, I'm telling you, is just... Can you find that on my Twitter and possibly put that on tonight's show again so people can go watch that?
I'll look for it.
It's up to 10,000 views, and guess what? It was only to the direct members, right? I think a lot of that's from it getting shared on Twitter. It's still unlisted. It is not a public video. It was directly to our National Guard in Oregon, and it's not something top secret or anything. It's telling them to get their dental work, everything done, get your ducks in a row. Basically, they said involuntary deployments. We need 500 airmen right now. Gulp. I mean, like, it's the freakiest thing ever. I don't see how somebody could watch that and not go, okay. And then if you look up her name and watch all of the videos that are out there, you will see exactly what I mean. She's always happy, always cracking jokes, always super smiley. That video, that looked like she just found out the world was ending in 2 years. Like, not okay. Ken Johnson, thank you for subscribing. Stefan McMahon says, thanks, Adam and Dex, for all you do. And Shay Watson says, one cryogenics tech to the other cryogenics tech. I see dead people. Icy dead people. Did you come up with that yourself? That sounds like a joke that either myself or Ilea would come up with. Possibly Rip Curl or maybe even Bones. I see dead people. I see. That's good. Okay, here's one I came up with, and I don't care. Somebody else can copyright it. What did the paperclip say to the paper? Clip. I thought it was good. Dex, web-only content.
Yes, let's move on to that. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, and scroll down to web-only content. You will find that video that Adam talked about earlier, along with the rest of the show that we can't talk about. So maybe it's two-sided, maybe it's we didn't get to, or maybe it's, you know, just too hot for TV. But plenty of stuff there for you to check out, including things like young children trolling the administration with their love of a different administration in a photo op. What the powers that be do when they don't know the cameras are rolling. And then this trend, I think we talked about this before, about what was happening at college football games. At a few college football games, it's turned into at least 6 or 7, at least that I could find. There's probably plenty more, but they're all, every one of them is there. And then there's a lot of other news going on, things that have, you know, happened with within the bean counters, as I call them, the people that are doing all the counting. And you know what it is they're counting, as well as some other political stuff. So go take a look. It's marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to a web-only content.
Yeah, that the little girls are wearing "Make Great Again," right? Next to JB. I am just, that's blown away. That's so funny. It's funny, and I think it's just funny. It's just
even funnier that the previous T-Man took it and turned it around and used it.
Oh my gosh, is that what it is? Well, and by the way, this is and then look, I swear it, wait, that kid's wearing a shirt too. Like, these are all oh man, that's great. All he needed to do is kiss a baby that had like a, you know, a May J shirt on. All right. To say what is going on to the Angela 1609 Big Z. What's your name? 45 1 B Griffle Maxi Easy 33. Thank you guys for showing up. Rule 2012. Cut the BS. Let's see here. We've got Bling and Grammy. Blingington Grammy, I love that. The Lowest, Alan Johnson, Ruffton, Robert Leftwich. I was about to call you Ruffton. Hey, that's a cool name, right? A guy named Ruffton. Ruffton. Nah, that doesn't sound that great. Rihanna Ness, Philly, Irish Lass. What is going on? Hodgepodge, Miniette, Bugnana, Global Situation 24/7, Paul Barrett. You've been here for a long time. That's really sweet that you've popped in. I don't know if are you the Paul Barrett that I went to middle school with? Alan Johnson, able-bodied, thank you. Franny Cascadia, thank you. Ilea, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the mods being here tonight. Thank you to everybody popping in. Francis Adele Williams, Mike Spurall, everybody. Love ya. Dex, thank you for your service tonight. Thank you for everything you do. I appreciate you.
Much love, brother. Great show.
It is now officially time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shout outro.
John Ritter. If you want to meet us at a real killer, then it's here, then it's Bill and Melinda. They want to kill ya, depopulate before dinner. Vaccinate you sinners, it'll be a cold winter. Now the government is gonna be your babysitter. Tear you up and make you so bitter. I'm a problem child, I'm the kid, you John Ritter. Then it's here, then it's there, then it's on, then it's gone. Top secret operation from the Pentagon. Then it's here, then it's there, then it's on, then it's gone. Top secret operation from the Pentagon. Then it's here, then it's there, then it's on, then it's gone. Now the government is gonna be your babysitter. Then it's on, then it's gone. Top secret operation from the Pentagon. Then it's here, then it's there, then it's on, then it's gone. Top secret operation from the Pentagon. Then it's here, then it's there, then it's on, then it's gone. Top secret operation from the Pentagon. Pentagon, 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 Top secret operation from the Pentagon. I see dead people. 7 big man, everybody add people. I need to visit everybody on a stead needle. I got a bag of run, I got no on the jazz. Sandy Boba on that, ooh, it's up. Bible on the live, hit no beat pop. With the great man, prepping. Do it back right, everybody get the stepping. Peasy, super all chatting. A 148, whoever does not love. I know God big, God is love. I bring it. I told you I bring it down. I got it so vibing deep now. Stay on the watch and on the live, on the chat now. Y'all, everybody knows a free fall when we see a free fall. And don't worry, we see y'all. I got the Ken Johnson name on the gravitas. Jeff Bezos, everybody gonna go with me. Whoa, I said I love all my Fugle family out there. We all gotta be pushing up each other and everybody loving each other like Carolina Blues, Bill Ties, Bobby and the Gone Girl, 777, high card, everybody going back to heaven. If they believe Jack Jonas in the step of B, Aaliyah, and everybody gonna see. Hey, Joe and a W, a CJ Blaze, recalcitrant too. Holiday, kiss a holiday is my first name. And now everybody wanna see the name go away. I with the true secret A, bring it right back and like a Canadian A, like a WV. Prepare to mind, bring it back and running like James Kerwin all the time. Do it back and running, bug man and knows of mine. Everybody really wanna be so fine, but nobody's doing fine right now. I with the CV, going back round, everybody see me doing everything. I just wanna know. Congratulations to the winners. I did life, they love everybody going back in dinner. Oh, was a couple hours ago. I missed it and my stomach goes to and fro. Guacaholic rap battle Logan Paul. No thanks, he's just a little too tall. A peace blow torch, Bobby, everybody hardly even can hear me. I should turn myself up. Everybody in the baba bottom beaming now. Able bodied and the guacaholic in the mouth. This is everybody going big around and now I BBQ. Happy, happy, happy soldier. Y'all, everybody knows a free fall when we see a free fall. And don't worry, we see y'all. Everybody knows a. Remember, you can join us over on Marfoogle Jams. Thank you to everybody that supported Night Bling and Grandma. All the types I've been being done. Everybody wanna smash a button like now. Everybody love the family.